Have you ever stood at a crossroads, feeling as though the weight of a single decision could alter the course of your entire life? That suffocating moment where your heart races, your thoughts spiral, and fear whispers, "What if you make the wrong choice?" Indecision can be paralyzing, a silent battle waged within the soul. But what if I told you that there are 3 words, just 3, that have the power to cut through the fog of doubt, bringing clarity, peace, and divine assurance? These words are not ordinary. They are a spiritual weapon, sharpened by faith and designed to break the chains of hesitation. They have been hidden in plain sight, buried within the wisdom of Scripture, waiting to be uncovered by those seeking truth. And once you grasp them, your decision-making will never be the same again. Stay with me, because what you are about to discover could change the way you hear God's voice forever. Imagine standing on the edge of the impossible, staring into the unknown, knowing that the next step could either lead to victory or complete devastation. This is the moment that defines everything. And throughout history, even the greatest men of faith have faced it. Picture Moses, standing before the roaring Red Sea, the cries of his people behind him, the thundering hooves of Pharaoh's army closing in. There was no way forward, at least not one that human eyes could see. But then, something happened. A decision was made, an act of faith that would change the destiny of an entire nation. Or look at David, just a boy, standing before a towering giant, with nothing but a sling and an unshakable trust in the unseen. Every logical voice said he was doomed. Every eye watching him expected failure. But he knew something they didn't, something that made the difference between hesitation and action. And then, there's Jesus, kneeling in the Garden of Gethsemane, sweat like drops of blood falling to the ground, the weight of the world pressing on his shoulders. In that moment, every temptation to turn away, to step back from the suffering ahead, must have roared in his mind. But he spoke words that shattered fear, words that set eternity in motion. These moments were not random. They were battles of faith, moments of decision that required something deeper than human reasoning. And in each case, there were words, divine words, spoken in surrender, in courage, in trust. But what were they? What truth did they unlock? You might think you know, but the answer is even more powerful than you expect. Stay with me, because those 3 words hold the key to transforming hesitation into certainty, fear into faith, and doubt into destiny. There are moments in life when logic fails, when reason cannot hold the weight of what we face. It is in these moments that trust becomes the only bridge between fear and faith. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to Him, and He will make your path straight. These words from Proverbs 3:5-6 hold a truth so profound, yet so often overlooked. Trusting God isn't just about believing He exists. It's about surrendering the deepest uncertainties, the unanswered questions, the fears that grip our hearts. It's about releasing control even when everything inside us screams to hold on. Think of Abraham. The moment God told him to sacrifice his beloved son Isaac, every fiber of human understanding would have resisted. It didn't make sense. The son he had prayed for, the promise he had waited years to see fulfilled, now he was being asked to give it all up. Yet Abraham spoke no words of defiance, no argument, no demand for explanation. He simply obeyed, walking step by step up that mountain with faith that defied reason. And in the final moment, just as the knife was raised, heaven answered. A ram caught in the thicket, a divine provision, a testimony that trust in God is never misplaced. These 3 words, "I trust you," are not just a declaration. They are a weapon, a force that dismantles fear, silences doubt, and opens the door for the miraculous. Every day, we face choices that test our faith. Do we lean on our own understanding, or do we surrender? Do we let anxiety dictate our steps, or do we whisper those 3 words and let heaven move on our behalf? Saying "I trust you" isn't about knowing how everything will turn out. It's about knowing who holds the outcome. And when you truly embrace those words, you will see what Abraham saw, what Moses saw, what David saw. The trust in God is never in vain. There are times when we stand on the edge of something greater than ourselves, knowing we must move forward, yet unsure where to place our feet. The unknown stretches before us, full of possibility, but also risk. And in these moments, a single prayer holds the power to change everything. Guide my steps. These words are not just a request. They are an invitation for heaven to intervene, for God to take control and lead us where our eyes cannot see. The Lord makes firm the steps of the one who delights in him. Though he may stumble, he will not fall, for the Lord upholds him with his hand. Psalm 37:4. This is the promise. God doesn't just watch from a distance. He actively directs, steadies, and sustains those who trust him. Think of Peter stepping out of the boat onto the surface of the sea. The waves roared, the wind howled, yet for a moment, he did what no man had ever done before. He walked on water. Not by his own strength, but by fixing his eyes on the one who called him. But the moment his focus shifted, the moment he let fear and doubt cloud his trust, he began to sink. And yet, even in his failing, even as the waters swallowed him, Jesus was there, immediately reaching out, pulling him back, steadying his steps once more. This is what happens when we pray, "Guide my steps." It doesn't mean we will never falter. It doesn't mean every path will be smooth. But it does mean that when we move in faith, even when we misstep, God will redirect us. He will catch us before we fall too far, lift us when we waver, and lead us where we need to be. Life is full of uncertain paths, choices that stretch beyond what we can comprehend. But when you whisper those three words, you are surrendering the journey to the one who already knows the destination. And in his hands, even the most uncertain step becomes secure. There are moments when heaven feels distant, when prayers seem to echo into silence, when the weight of uncertainty presses so heavily that it feels like we are walking alone. But here's the truth. We are never truly alone. Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. Isaiah 41:10. These are not just words on a page. They are the unshakable promise of a God who does not abandon his own. Even in the darkness, even in the waiting, even in the places where we cannot feel him, he is here. And when we declare those three words, "You are here," we are not reminding God of his presence. We are reminding ourselves. Think of Paul and Silas, bound in a prison cell, their bodies aching from the beatings they had endured. By all human standards, this was a moment of despair, a moment where most would question if God had forgotten them. But instead of giving in to fear, instead of sinking into hopelessness, they did something extraordinary. They lifted their voices in praise. Not because they saw a way out, not because they knew what would happen next, but because they understood a truth far greater than their circumstances. God was with them. And as their voices rose, so did the foundations of the prison. Chains broke, doors swung open. The presence of God didn't just sustain them, it set them free. This is the power of "You are here." It is a declaration that no matter what we face, no matter how heavy the burden, no matter how silent the heavens may seem, God has never left our side. And when we choose to acknowledge his presence in the midst of the storm, everything shifts. Fear loses its grip. Hopelessness fades. The enemy trembles, because a person who knows God is near is a person who cannot be shaken. So in your darkest nights, in your hardest battles, in the moments where doubt creeps in, speak these words with conviction. You are here. And watch as the atmosphere around you begins to change. There are times in life when we struggle to make sense of the chaos around us, when the weight of decisions, the twists and turns of our journey seem overwhelming. But in the midst of all of it, there is a promise that can anchor us. A promise that everything is not random, that nothing is beyond God's control. We know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. Romans 8:28. This is the ultimate revelation, the truth that brings everything else into focus. God's plan is not just good in some things, it is good in all things. Every trial, every triumph, every heartache, every blessing, he is weaving them all together for your good and his glory. So when we say, "I trust you," we are declaring that we believe in God's plan, even when we don't understand it, even when it's hard to see where it's leading. Trusting him doesn't mean we have all the answers, but it means we know he does. And when we say, "Guide my steps," we are acknowledging that our wisdom is limited, that we need divine direction to move forward, to make choices that align with his will. We are admitting that even in uncertainty, God is leading us exactly where we need to be. And when we say, "You are here," we are affirming his presence in every moment. Whether on the mountaintops or in the valleys, whether the sky is clear or the storm rages. He is with us, upholding us, sustaining us. Now imagine if you started each day with these 3 phrases. I trust you, guide my steps, you are here. What would happen to your decisions? What would happen to your fears, your doubts, your moments of hesitation? I challenge you, speak these words every morning. Let them be the first thing you say when you wake up. Watch how your faith will shift, how your perspective will change, and how your trust in God will deepen. These 3 simple phrases have the power to transform your life, to align your heart with God's will, and to turn every day into a day of divine purpose. When you embrace these words, you embrace the truth that nothing in your life is outside of God's sovereign control. And in that truth, you will find the strength, the peace, and the faith to walk through every season, knowing that he is working all things together for your good. As we wrap up today, I want to encourage you to take this moment to not just hear these words, but to speak them into your life. Let these words of faith become your foundation. I challenge you, declare them every single day. Say them out loud. Let them resonate in your heart, and watch how they transform your decisions and your relationship with God. But don't just keep this to yourself. Share the power of these words with others. I invite you to write them in the comments below. Write, I trust you, guide my steps, you are here, and let's strengthen this connection. As you type them out, know that you are not only declaring these words for yourself, but also inviting others to join in this declaration of faith. Together, we can create a community where these words become a part of our everyday lives. If this message has touched your heart, I encourage you to subscribe for more insights that will deepen your faith and bring you closer to God's truth. And always remember, no matter what you face, these 3 words will bring you peace, direction, and confidence in God's plan. So let's make it a habit to declare, I trust you, guide my steps, you are here. Speak them aloud, write them in the comments, and experience the transformation that only God's presence can bring into your life.